Hi everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I am creating probably one of my most favorite layouts that I've done in this series. You guys, this one turned out so stinking cute. So much cuter than what I thought that it was going to be. I am using all of these flowers that I had set aside, and I am going through pulling out loads of scraps because my goal is to try to use up all of the scraps in this before I call this kit complete. So I'm going through pulling out some scraps, going through and pulling out all of the die cuts that I have left for the Bella collection to try to use up as much as I can. I do grab those 3 pieces there from the Simple Stories collection because the colors coordinate perfectly, so I'm going to try to use those 2 for layering pieces. I had these 3 chunks of the chipboards left, and I'm trying to create some kind of a title. That way we can go ahead and use all of this up, and I do use the word love equals and one of the die cuts that say forever. So the scrap papers, what I'm doing is using as much as I possibly can use. I'm going to rip and distress the edge of this, and I'm going to go ahead and add this up to the top of my page. I know that it kind of doesn't make sense to turn a 12 by 12 white sheet of paper sideways to add this, but for some reason my measurement was a little off, so it wasn't quite square, so that's why I did that. But anyways, I'm going to add that up to the top to give that little bit of color up there. And I'm going to try to keep to the more simple prints, more calm prints, not the bright and bold flashy ones, because the florals in this are going to be a lot of bright and bold and flashy themselves. So I'm trying to keep it a little bit not as bold. So this scrap of teal, I'm going to rip the edge of it. I will tuck it in and use it, but it will not land there. We're going to go ahead and use this black and pink polka dot. I think that's a light pink. It's either black and pink or black and white polka dot. I'm going to do the same, and he is going to live there, and I'm going to go ahead and add in this teal, but it'll be at more of an angle. But I am going to layer all 3 of these patterns up at the top, fluff up the edges, and glue them down just because it's using scraps, it's adding layers and dimension, and it's adding texture, and I love it. This is only going to add to all of the color and layers of the flowers that are coming. That is so stinking cute. I love this layout, and maybe it's just because it's the pictures of my puppy too. But anyways, I have a couple of tags. I am going to try to use that one there. It will make it, but these guys here are a perfect landing for my journaling, and I thought let's give them some tuck and put them upside down, because why not? And then I'm going to use these 2 photos of my pup whenever he was a pup, and within the first, I want to say the first day or 2 we had him home. So I'm going to use them both together on this layout and get them both documented. So I do use that other card. I do cut it down so I can get double duty out of it. That little journaling tag will land underneath that right photo there, upside down. The tag that says love on it, I don't end up using on this page, but I do set it aside and we'll use it on something else later on. So this is where I'm going to add in his title. I tried to figure out what to do, and I wanted the florals to look like they were falling from the sky. So I had in my head how I was hoping for them to look, so I wasn't too worried about this title being very heavy on the right, because I know the flowers, once I get them on there, are going to kind of balance everything out. So we're just going to go ahead and start gluing things down, because at this point I kind of had in my head how it was going to work, and I was hoping that it was going to work how I wanted it to. So the pictures, I'm going to go ahead and stick these 2 together so that I can move them as a whole. I like doing that whenever I use my multi-photo layouts. This little square that was a scrap piece of paper, we're going to cut in half and use. This picture frame we're going to use. I'm using all of these little bits and pieces of things that are left over as photo layers to try to use up as much as I can. And I am very proud of myself. I used a lot of scrap on this project, and you really can't tell. I love it. Okay, so to use up even more scrap, I have this piece of scrap paper that had some chunks left over it that had the music on the back. But it didn't matter. You really couldn't tell that it was music. I just wanted the little pops of color, but it wasn't so overpowering with color. It was still white paper as another layer, and it worked out great. So the Altenew, I've been swearing by this tape lately. Love it. It is super sticky. I'm going to use that to pop all of this up. I don't use the glue on it this time because I have no mixed media, so there should be no issues with this sticking in the background. And we're going to go ahead and the photos are going to live there. I'm going to go ahead and start putting down some of my title. I do pop a lot of this up on foam. I did cut a lot of it out because it is just a matter of cutting down little pieces of foam, adding it to the back and pulling off the backing. And I'm going to do the same thing a little bit here with the Love chipboard. I don't include everything, and it's just because I'm gluing, I'm adding foam, and I'm sticking it down. I do overlap the L onto both photos so that I give myself room over on the right because there's the equals that I'm going to use. I had debated not using that, but I think that it actually turned out really well using it, that it says love equals forever, because this little guy is going to actually be loved forever and ever. He has been such a joy to my family since we got him. Oh, I love them to pieces. So anyways, we're going to pop these guys up on foam, add the equals sign down. I don't pop them up. I just glue them straight down. They were too little to even fuss around with it. I'm going to tidy up my workspace, but that little center of the O I was going to get rid of, but I kept it because I thought, well, we'll use it at some point. And then the layering of the flowers, and I just started randomly putting these down wherever I thought they looked good. And I know sometimes it's hard to explain what that is whenever people ask, well, how do you know where to put them? My thought process when I was putting these down was, let's start with the larger ones first. They will end up either being your landing places for holding smaller ones or places to tuck other ones behind. You can tuck them under photos, behind ephemera, and that's what I did with some of them, and then work your way smaller. Also, what I did was I tried to keep the solid colored and the patterned florals mixed up. I didn't want all of the solid colors together, all of the patterns together. And then I just sprinkled them around the page. I tried to do the color blocking, but then it just didn't look right. So I mixed it all up. I made sure that there was a blue everywhere around the page, a yellow everywhere around the page. No color blocking. I didn't think that it would look right, but I just scattered all kinds of color and all kinds of florals the whole way around the page. I love how it looks like that these flowers are falling from the sky. It is so stinking cute. I love how this turned out. Once I get those down, I will start to glue them. Some of them I pop up on foam adhesive, others I do not. I do have some chipboard flowers. So the chipboards I tried to keep on top of the other ones, all except for that blue one up there in that top cluster. I tuck it underneath the pink one a little bit. And that's because that pink one there I did pop up on foam, so it nestled right up underneath of that. So I went ahead and just went with it. But as you saw what I did with that pink one, some of these flowers for the die cuts, I actually curl the edges upwards to help pop it up off the page. I do that to the ones that I glue down. I also do that to the ones that I use foam adhesive on. I think it helps give that extra little oomph off of the page, adds shadow and dimension, and it works, and it adds a little bit more texture. I think with some of the photos that I have here at the end, it shows all of the dimension. I think I took a picture of it at an angle that showed all of the dimension, and you'll see what I mean there. So as I put all of these in, I tried to work in a couple other little pieces, just again to try to use up some things, fill in some of the gaps that I kind of created whenever I put those in. Some of the banners, I tried to use that one, but it didn't work. The happy didn't work. And you know, this is where it's all about trial and error to see if things work and see if things don't. This piece, I really wanted it to be on there because it says My Forever Valentine. But I was trying to find a place where it would work, and it ends up living on the right-hand side of that right photo, and it tucks right underneath there, and it was the perfect size once I trimmed a little bit of the edges off, so it will live there. And then this banner, I'm going to to do that, kind of mimic what I just did, but on the opposite side, and tuck that behind the left photo. And I also tuck it in between that red flower and the black flower. So it helps give that a little bit of separation. And I think that it needed that, and once that went in there, that helped tie that little cluster together. This little love piece I had left over from cutting it off of a word strip from another layout. We're going to tuck that behind that flower. This word strip says my favorite, but it was too long. So I'm just going to shorten up that right side of the dots, like make things work for you and how you want it to work and where you want it to work. And if that means keeping the same look of it, but trimming it down so that it's not as long, now it fits and it works perfect and how I wanted it to. This little pink arrow I totally forgot about, but I wanted it on there, so we're going to go ahead and glue it over where it was by that blue flower, just kind of highlighting where my journaling is actually going to land. And this was where a scrap piece came in from the very first layout that I did in this tray series, where I fussy cut all of those words and made the rainbow. I had a piece that had XOXO on it, fussy cut it out, added some foam adhesive behind this, and I used that for part of a layer for this photo, and it just says XOXO, and it's another element using up what I have. So after I get these guys here popped up on some foam adhesive, I am going to keep working through the little bits that I have. I do have the stickers pulled out. I want to make sure I use this up too. And this chipboard, I forgot it. I found it in the pile of scraps and I was so mad because I didn't incorporate it in, but I stuck it up there and it works out good. But I want to make sure that I use up this sheet because this is one of those sheets where it's very product specific for me. I don't think I would find myself using it on any other layouts other than layouts using the papers that coordinate this. So I'm going through and I'm going to add in the floral pieces from it, and then I'm going to pick out the enamel dots, and I am going to go very enamel dot heavy, and I'm actually going to use up all of the like the red salmon color, the teal, and the yellow, and then that is going to wrap up this layout. Off camera, I do add a piece of string to the tag that is underneath my title, just to add a little bit more texture. And then I also add later on in some journaling on those two tags up at the top left there. And then that is going to call this layout done. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I hope I have inspired you. If you're new to my channel, I invite you to hit subscribe and that bell so that you're notified every time I upload a video. And if you are a returning subscriber, thanks so much for all your support. And either way, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I have inspired you to get crafty. Bye.